voting law. CBS's Mark Strassman reports.
Critics include Cameron Champ, one of the PGA's few players of color.
It really targets, certain black communities and makes it harder for them to vote.
Under pressure, the Augusta National Golf Club itself and its power elite by invitation-only membership, not admitting its first black member until 1990 and its first woman member until 2012.
Yesterday, a rally against Asian hate in the Bay Area focused on how to further mobilize against violence and bigotry. KPIX TV's Wilson Walker with more.
Change is a process, not an event.
Many of the attendees would like to see greater security measures, more prosecutions, and an emphasis on safety.
The watch groups need to expand.
And there is also a lot of discussion about political action, especially from the younger voices organizing these events.
Run for office. Call your senators to expand voter rights, to tighten legislation surrounding hate crimes, enforce universal background checks and gun laws.
Karate star Sakura Kokumai says she was the target of anti-Asian slurs and threats while training in a park in California. She posted a series of videos on Instagram last week showing the exchange with a man at a basketball court.
What happened?
All right, don't be looking at me behind my back.
Okay.
She said no one stepped in to help her despite people being around. The nation's coal industry won't see a resurgence anytime soon.
Coal industry production and employment have been plummeting for decades.
The immediate future is that coal is likely to continue to decline.
Ken Anderson is an industry analyst at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale.
And the combination of cheap natural gas, cheap solar, and cheap wind has made coal much less attractive as an energy resource than it used to be.
There is still demand for U.S. coal and overseas steel production.
That's CBS News correspondent Jim Kursula. This is CBS News.
CBS News Radio is your home for breaking news. With our team of reporters around the country and the world, we give you the coverage you can trust.
Woke culture is threatening our freedoms. Now, Grant Stinchfield exposes woke's secret agenda and its hidden players. Watch Stinchfield at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on Newsmax TV. As he reveals the dangers, Stinchfield gives you the cold, hard truth you need to know. Find Newsmax TV on all major cable systems or get it free on Roku, YouTube, Xumo, Pluto, and smart TVs. Download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. Woke is dangerous, so watch Stinchfield on Newsmax tonight.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Get the facts now. Goherenext.com.
Get back to the office.
After commiserating with a colleague about the hassle of commuting, Harvard Business School's Professor Andy Wu conducted a study to find out just what companies are up against as more people transition out of home workspaces. The results were clear. A long, stressful commute hurts workers and their employers by hindering creativity and productivity. Conclusion: if firms want to make sure their workers perform at their peak, keep them closer to where they work, either by allowing them to work remotely or by providing incentives for them to move closer to the office. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
WWL First News. I'm Tom Perumian on your official weather station, WWL AM, FM, and .com.
A few clouds through the morning, but the afternoon, lots of sunshine. It'll be nice and comfortable around 80 degrees. Humidity a little bit lower as well today.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Pate Malone, will be along with your full weather forecast. A Covington woman is recovering after going missing Friday night. WWL TV's Paul Dudley has the latest.
A Covington woman who went missing along the Trinfuncta River Friday night has been found. The search for 26-year-old Laura Thomas began around 9 p.m. that night. She had taken off on a jet ski from Three Rivers boat launch. The storms had been a major concern for those searching for Thomas. They found her in critical condition. It is still unclear what exactly happened. Parish officials are asking for prayers for Thomas and her family as well.
Well, trash isn't getting picked up in parts of New Orleans. WWL TV's Devin Bartolotta reports.
Some New Orleans residents say trash is piling up without a garbage collector in sight. Neighbors say no one has picked up their trash in nearly 2 weeks. And each time they've called Metro, they're told collectors will be there on the scheduled day. But still, no one comes.
Why can't you pick up my garbage? That's all I want. My garbage picked up. I want to know a reason why you're not picking my garbage. Because if I pay you for a service and it's not being done, so I'm sitting up here with all this garbage.
Now, we reached out to Metro this morning, and we are still working to get answers.
COVID numbers continue to stay low in Louisiana despite spikes in other parts of the country driven by new viral variants. State Health Officer Dr. Joe Cantor says percent positivity this week was only 2.3%, the lowest since the pandemic began, and only 301 people are in Louisiana hospitals with COVID symptoms.
This week, more than half of the parishes are in the lower two of the 4 risk categories. All of that is very encouraging.
However, he does warn that our rate of the UK variant cases is multiplying in size by about 3 to 4 times a week. Currently, it's estimated at 13.4%. Here's Mark Menard with WWL Sports.
It's been a rough start to conference play for LSU baseball, but finally, Tigers can say they have a series win under their belts.
2-1 the count. The pitch to Dugas. Absolutely hit high in the air. Anu going back. He's on the track. He's at the wall. Gives a leap, and it's gone. Gavin Dugas, a 2-run blast.
LSU took down Kentucky on the road for a second straight game to give them the series win over the weekend. Final score yesterday was 8-6. Now at 3-8 in the SEC, the Tigers will go for the sweep of the Wildcats today. First pitch is set for noon, and it's yours right here on WWL. And the Pelicans return to action tonight, looking to build on their impressive Friday win over the 76ers. They're in Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Menard, WWL Sports.
The forecast from your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
Strongest of the storms continue to move out of the area this afternoon. Can't rule out a few showers and storms, but not as heavy as what we saw earlier. Highs will be around 83 degrees, and we'll be looking at pretty cloudy skies. Heading into tonight, a little bit cooler as that cold front moves in, dries us out. 53 on the North Shore, 61 south of the lake. Sunday, highs around 80, but lots of sunshine. Monday, not looking bad. Most of the day will be dry with highs in the low to mid 80s. And then storm chances really return by Tuesday, lingering into Wednesday as well. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
And I'm Tom Perumian, WWL First News.
From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Call or text 504-260-1870 or join us anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Good morning, Doug. Might need to adjust it a little bit. There we go. So I can hear you a little better. Now bring it up a little more. There we go.
All right, there we go.
I can't hear Albert.
All right. You want me to? Here we go. Technical difficulties.
All right. How about that? Are we good? Are we good, Doug?
Doug, can you hear me?
I say he's low, way low.
All right. One more time. We are.
Sorry about this. Our listening audience, if you can hear me.
One more. Oh, let's try one more thing.
Test. There we go. How about now, Doug? Can you hear me?
I'm way low.
Here, Albert, why don't you just call in until we
I'll
get this
call in.
All right, Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. The complications of home studios. Albert's going to call in. You just call 260-1870 with your legal questions, and we will we'll talk first of all. Okay, we got feedback there.
There we go. All right, I think that's better. And we're talking about, well, first of all, we'll be on till 10 o'clock until till LSU plays Kentucky today. Well, 10 o'clock, and then they'll have CBS Sports at 11:30 will be pregame for the LSU Kentucky game. LSU's up 2-0. They have they're now 3-8 on SEC, and they are making a little bit of a comeback. Albert, you up yet? Okay. Well, actually, for the first 1-8, they just haven't won, and they've lost a couple of games. They could have swept the Tennessee series, the second series, and they lost extra innings, or with tying and winning run on base. Vanderbilt was number one team in nation this year, and they got blown out the first two games, lost with the winning run on first, tying run on third, and Mississippi State, they lost those games. So they just lose it, but they're not so, they're pretty good, losing close ones. Yeah, but they're young, and they lost their best pitcher, Jaden Hill. Jaden Hill was supposed to go in the first top 10 in the Major League draft. This year, if he was healthy, he's probably going to drop because of his injuries out for the year. But they're starting to come together a little bit, and they still can salvage the SEC season. And if they win today, sweep today, that'll go a long way. They play South Carolina next week, and so they're improving. And they've done it before in 2008. They were 6-11, and they swept 4 series to get back into it. And the Manera teams are known to come on in the second part of the season, so we'll see. But it's a good start. If we sweep today, I think we'll be back. Well, the SEC will probably have 9 teams in the regionals, and so really for LSU, it's about hosting regionals and super regionals and getting seeded high enough. Which, if they make a run, they might be able to host a regional. They have to win probably. Let's see, they're 3-8. They would probably have to win 13 or 14 of the next 20 games, or 19, 13 games of the next 19 in order to have a shot at a regional. And so they'd have to go 13-7, or 13-6, somewhere around there to host a regional. They'd probably have to win 14 SEC games in order to win to get into a regional at all, which would be around 11-10. So they're in a little hole, but they've dug out 4. So go Tigers! But they're on at 12 o'clock, 11:30 pregame, and also we have the. Have you been watching Pelicans, Annie? Now, what do you attribute? I mean, they really have 2 personalities. I mean, they go beat Philadelphia one week, they lose to Minnesota one week. You just don't know who's going to show up. Some games they're killing it, and some games they're just awful. I mean, what do you have been? Yeah, is it youth or Van Gundy or both? Well, that's the new game. That's the new game. Yeah, that's definitely a new game. And Saints have to draft in about 3 weeks. I think initially, before the I guess draft preparations, it appeared that Mac Jones may be available from Alabama at 27. He would be a possibility for the Saints at one, maybe a quarterback for the future. But I think he's going to be gone. He's probably going to be gone in the top 10. So I think it'll be a free. Right. Well, you have also, you have Trubisky from Chicago, who only started 1 year at the University of North Carolina, and they took him before Mahomes, which will be forever spoken about in Chicago, and he's not turned out to be, just hasn't turned out to be who they thought he would be. I mean, he might be a career backup, but he's not who we thought the Bears thought he would be, and they're going in a different direction. Also, so it's sort of a free fall. I think at 27, they best player available. I mean, I don't know that they're going to do so much need, because usually when you're picking in the back end of the first round, you have someone who's thought to be, maybe a pick in the top 15 or 20 who slides. And generally, the philosophy is the Saints have been grab them, even though it may not be a position of need, much like Ruiz last year. So it'll be interesting, but at least they'll have some. In past years, they've only had 3 or 4 draft picks on draft day, so this time they have 8 picks. Oh, that's so stupid. I don't know. Virtue, yeah. But you could, all right. You could. He's just he likes to needle people. He likes to needle authority a little bit, so in a way that doesn't get him fined. Hey, I saw it, admire that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, lose traffic. All right. Well, we'll leave on Albert comparing Sean Payton to Donald Trump. We've got to go to break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Weekend Lawyers, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief time.
And documentary films, and that's Curiosity Stream. History, science, nature, we've got it. Space, dinosaurs, big cats, we've got that too. And pretty much anything else you want to explore. Go ahead, add some smart TV to your smart TV with Curiosity Stream. Go to curiositystream.com to sign up and start streaming today.
The New Orleans Saints and Pelicans offer the ultimate entertainment experience. Now you can get onto the field and into the hottest concerts in town with our newest all-inclusive premium offerings. Saints field level suites get you closer to the action than ever before. And with Pelican suite packages, you'll watch some of the NBA's brightest stars, like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. To get your tickets to the suite life and learn more, visit NewOrleansSaints.com or Pelicans.com today.
If you're building a new home or buying a new home from a builder, you need to be aware of Louisiana's New Home Warranty Act. It sets forth strict deadlines to make claims against the builder for defects in construction. If you don't provide the builder with proper notice, you can lose your right to make a claim. This is Albert Nicaud with the Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm in Metairie. Call me at 504-837-1304 as soon as you discover a defect. Better yet, call me before you sign your construction contract and let me make sure you're protected.
Odyssey is all the audio that matters to you. Listen on your smart speaker or voice-assisted device. Amazon Echo, Google Nest, Sonos, Apple HomePod. It's so easy to play your favorites at your command. Hands-free. All kinds of music from all over the country. Top 40, rock, R&B, country, alternative, and more. Sports talk and coverage from all the leagues. News from coast to coast. It's all here. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station. Explore a universe of audio. Odyssey.
Let NOLA Protection improve the security at your business by keeping your property, customers, and employees safe. NOLA Protection is the local choice for security guard services and equipment. Give them a call at 504-577-2323 or on the web at nolaprotection.com.
Elevate your ride in a new 2020 Highlander with plenty of space and the latest technology at your fingertips. For great deals, hurry into your local Toyota dealer or visit buyatoyota.com today.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Now, more All Things Legal, paid for by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Which talks a little bit about some other aspects of law. Basically what happened was Gloria Scott, a 74-year-old security employee, had probably had an encounter with Darius Geis at the Superdome, and he apparently had said something that was a horrible thing to tell a 74-year-old woman, and the question as to whether that was reported to LSU if those were on or not. But this is where the story gets interesting. This happened before the 2017 season, and a representative who's not an attorney had called Miriam Seeger and Burge Osberry, Yvonne Williams, who had said he basically said he wanted monetary compensation from the Scott of $100,000, or he would go to the media and disclose what occurred. And so it was sort of an interesting situation that you would have this Mr. Williams, who apparently heard the situation. I don't know if he's a friend of the Scott, calls to LSU and says, basically, give me $100,000 to shut me off, or I'll go to the media regarding Darius Geis. And if you want to protect your team, you want to protect your player, just fork over $100,000. Now, that was never done. They had a public records request that brought this information out. But it is, my point in bringing these situations up is that in today's world, if a complaint is made, especially if it's of this type of nature, that it's interesting how, I guess, maybe the media, maybe people with agenda, just jump on one side of this issue. And then there's the other side of the issue that's there. It looks at it, whoa, let's see what this is really about. Now, whatever Darius Geis said to him, and what's the appropriate discipline is one issue. But there's a whole other issue, is to take this situation and have someone who's not an attorney, a friend, call up LSU and demand $100,000 in order to shut up about the situation, which is hasn't been verified or not. And on top of that, Ms. Scott hasn't really given a complete statement to her own employer, but goes straight to the state senate to testify without really without running it up, the ladder within our own, our own employment situation. So, a lot of times when you hear these, I guess, you have these lawyers who set up these press conferences saying this person did this, this person did this, or these very salacious allegations. A lot of times, we as a society don't wait to hear the other side. And
well, it happens quite frequently. I mean, it's the situation where, I had a friend of mine who was a coach, and he said whenever he had to discipline a female player or talk to a female player, he would never, ever do it just privately one-on-one. Because if it got to the point where, they had a dispute or a disagreement, or he had to maybe, like I said, discipline a player and maybe sit him down or cut him or whatever else from a team because of some action that they took. He always brought someone else in the room with him. He always made it very clear that I'm not going to set myself up for that because it's too easy to fabricate. And I mean, I understand. It's just thinking logically, and I don't even know what was said or what would it. But I mean, it just seems a little out there that Darius Geis, a college student, is going to make some sort of comment to a 74 lady like that. I mean, if young girl, it puts her in that environment with him. It puts her there where, that, just from, my experience in my lifetime, right? That's how you draw on making decisions about things you really don't know about. And so, it just seems kind of odd. Then all of a sudden you got some guy trying to extort LSU out of $100,000. It's just,
I think first of all,
it's
one of the issues
suspect.
employers deal with when you have these type of situations is one against the other. Now, what she did testify, which in the Senate, is that she had recordings on her phone, but she dropped the phone in a pot of red beans. And then
the New Orleans story.
And then, so you have to look at the external factors to see that only two people knew what happened. And,
right.
Given Mr. Darius guy, I think everybody, there's no question he's had a troubled background. He's had trouble since he's getting the NFL. There's no question about that. You multiply that with the fact that, college students often do, they do things that are stupid and don't-headed and regretful. But on the other hand, you got to weigh the other side and say, okay, well, maybe if something did happen, which was inappropriate, let's look at the other side. We have Mr. Williams, and to me, under certain circumstances, what he did is extortion, or could be considered extortion by some in some jurisdictions. Now, I don't know that the LSU would follow up on that because they're in a sensitive PR position, but that's as concerning as anything else. And number two is the dog ate my homework kind of excuses. Oh, I had proof, but it fell in a pot of red beans. Just makes it. All I'm saying is, you have a state senator who's on a committee saying heads have got to roll, and you got that same state senator. If she was a football coach, based on what she's done in the past 2 years and some of the issues she's experienced, she wouldn't have a job. And so all I am saying is that when you look at these facts about LSU and about this situation, you have to look at them without all the agendas, political and social agendas that are behind it, and the people who are trying to exploit it. It's really about a young man who probably said something that was inappropriate and wrong. And okay, that's wrong. I would say more likely not something negative happened. On the other hand, what is the response to do is to extort LSU for $100,000 over this contract in order to protect the brand. And on top of that is to, go straight to the, Senate and not run it up the flagpole in a normal way. So you got to look at these agendas. You got to look at what's behind, I guess, their motivation and intentions. And so, but I think one of the problems we have with these high-profile cases is we get into all these political agendas and social agendas and cultural agendas that the facts are often missed. And people make assumptions about the facts. And I think this is a very interesting issue because I don't think this is clean cut. Because when this was first reported, various guys did this, and Coach Ogeron didn't do that. And he's lying. And now you're saying, well, you know what? Maybe Coach Ogeron wasn't the bad guy. Maybe there's another side of the story that's as disturbing as the underlying allegation of various guys. And so, my only point in saying that is you have to really look at each fact, issue on its facts. And you saw to take out.
Look at the Deshaun Watson issue, right? Now we're up to 30. Okay, the evidence is kind of mounting, but then the question becomes: is it really 30? Could it be 24? And 6 of them are making it up. You know what I mean? How because there's a money trail at the end of this, or people believe that there is, unscrupulous people will do unscrupulous things. And so each story has to be investigated. I don't know. Is it none? Is it one? Of course, neither one.
My point is.
So verify that.
Well, my point is, there's as many people who wanted to victimize the victims than the underlying incident. And so there's a whole industry of victimizing the victims and trying to profit off that, as well as, just the underlying issues regarding victims. And, that's the part that's not often, talked about, referred to, or reported. But, in order for, I'm glad LSU sort of bucked back and just didn't take this line in and say, hey, these are some other facts out here that may give a different spin in this story. And before everybody makes their prejudgments as to what occurred or what didn't occur, who's at fault and who's not at fault, and whether head should go or not go, they should get the facts out and look at the behavior of all the parties after this occurred and put that in the mix to make a wise decision rather than trying to choose conclusions and just automatically trying to tear down institutions that are politically or socially agenda. So, all right, let's go to a break.
Radio.com is now Odyssey, Audacy.
We provide the news you need, the sports you love. We love talking about the Saints, LSU, and all the sports in the community, the podcasts you crave, the music you can't live without, live and on demand. Odyssey, Audacy, part audio, part audacious, part Odyssey.
We are Odyssey, all the audio that matters to you.
My husband and I were invited to a 50th wedding anniversary. I noticed this little lady, and she was basically sitting alone. Her daughter turned to me just as I came over to introduce myself, and she said, "My mother has Alzheimer's." She had not said her daughter's name in 2 years. She didn't recognize her. I said, "Listen, we might be able to help her." And about 3 weeks later, they show up. We gave her 5 days of treatment. This lady, each day got a little better and a little better. She started flirting with the guys. She was so cute. My friend said, "You're smiling a lot." And she said, "They make those here." The next day, says out loud, "Martha, would you get me a cup of coffee, please?" Her daughter, Martha, breaks down crying because her mother hadn't said her name in 2 years.
Learn more about treatment for Alzheimer's at SpringfieldWellnessCenter.com. Springfield Wellness Center.
The Odyssey app brings you a universe of audio anywhere you happen to be.
At home or when you're out.
All the best music from Odyssey stations across the country.
News from top local and national news sources.
Sports.
To keep up with your favorite team, no matter where they are.
And podcasts you crave.
We have thousands.
All in your pocket.
Find it all on Odyssey.
Audacy.
Go to the App Store or Google Play.
And download the Odyssey app now.
This is Bobby Hebert from my friends at Clearwater Pools and Spas, your staycation headquarters. Let us make your backyard a great family vacation spot for the summer. They're the trusted leader in water treatment and offer the largest selection in above-ground pools, spas, and hot tubs, including hot spring spas. They're the only factory authorized and trained in pristine blue and oxygen sanitizing systems. Visit CWNOLA.com or one of our locations in Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, and Pearl, Mississippi. Clearwater Pools and Spas.
Diamonds Direct spectacular store-wide spring sale is on now for a limited time. Get an extra 20% savings on virtually everything. Rings, earrings, pendants, eternity bands, colored gemstones, gorgeous designer jewelry. It's our first spring sale in 2 years, and we're breaking all the rules. Top designers have flown in their entire collections, each piece on sale. 20% savings off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable value price. We're talking extreme value. Shop online or in store. Even open this Sunday noon till 5. Diamonds Direct on Severn Avenue across from Lakeside Mall.
Does learning a language feel like this?
No habla español? Hablo. It's hablo? It's hablo.
Bom dia, like good day, good morning, I think.
I can say je m'appelle David, but that's probably it.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
This year is my year to get fluent in Spanish, and Babbel is definitely going to help me do that. The app is so easy to use, and it's so practical. It helps you learn things that you will actually need.
Since my husband is from Guatemala, I'll apply what I've learned in Babbel to our real-life situations.
I've tried other language learning apps, and nothing really stuck. Babbel's been a complete game changer for me.
Hoy es miércoles y el clima está muy bueno afuera.
Estoy con fome. Eu no tomé café de mañana.
Je suis des États-Unis et tu viens tu.
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. Just go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's babbel.com, BABBEL.com.
New Orleans is ready to get back to work. And DKI Office Solutions is ready to help you create comfortable, functional, and safe office spaces. With our large inventory and our design team, we can work with you to configure the best possible way to set up your office. Visit us at dkiofficesolutions.com to find out how we can help you get back to work.
Doing your best work from home is not easy when you don't have the right space. California Closets will help you create a custom solution that works for you, your family, and your life. Whether it's a small space, shared space, multifunctional space, or kids space, our professional design consultants will help you get organized and make your space one that works better for you. Now you can love where you live and work. Schedule your free in-home or virtual design consultation today at californiaclosets.com.
Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Monthly subscriptions now available. RejuveMeMedical.com.
Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast. All new mysteries of terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths.
Listen free on the new Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Where do you go when you want to sell your gold or silver coins?
CausewayCoinCo.com. All things legal on WWL. Call or text Nicaud and Sunseri now, 504-260-1870. And remember, you can rewind on the Odyssey app.
And evaluating things that they are, facts that they are, rather than just going with a blind narrative. And we're sort of seeing that played out a little bit now with the Major League Baseball and moving the game from Atlanta to Colorado over a disagreement on particular voting. And it's the issues are whether they have voting accessible, keeping voting integrity, and how do you do both? And it's very interesting to see that if we're at a point where this is a legitimate political issue, and that if we take one side believes it has moral superiority over the other, rather than states that hey, if you don't believe there's something defective in you, you don't deserve an all-star. Or if you believe this, you don't deserve this type of benefit. We're going to take it away from you, rather than being something that you just exercise your right to vote and have an opinion on. And it's just an opinion that is in the context of any type of political debate. But we're
I mean, the stupid part is Major League Baseball moves it to Colorado, which has a voter ID law. So, it's jumping all over Georgia. I would like to challenge anyone in our audience to please tell me what is discriminatory, what disenfranchises people by requiring a voter ID, some sort of identification to vote. You need it. I could go on for 20 minutes as to what you need a license for, or a photo ID for. 99% of the things that we do in this country, you need some sort of identification. And one of the most sacrosanct privileges that we have, or rights that we have in this country, is the right to vote. And the fact that
we can't protect that by having something as simple as a voter ID to show that, yes, you are the person that is casting this vote, and that somebody's not voting 10 times, or somebody who is not registered to vote in the state or registered to vote at all is trying to alter your state's outcome of the election. I mean, I invite anyone to call in and please try to explain that.
That's the interesting part about this, because it is framed in a way you never discuss the issue, in the sense that I think the primary issue for photo ID, if you have an absentee, you have to have a photo ID that's attached, make a copy of it and send it. And the question is, how is it framed? Because you want, maybe someone photo ID is that you're trying to suppress voting rights. And, aside from the name calling and, the supposition, just tell me from a factual standpoint, give me a concrete example as to why a photo ID for voting, either in person or by absentee, has a discriminatory effect. In fact, I would challenge to say, if you said that, you'd probably be shortchanging any of the groups that are not able, or that you say can't get a photo ID, because you're saying that they don't have the requisite ability to do that, which would be demeaning to any group to say that.
Right.
But I mean, just so it's just very confusing to me as a lawyer. I've read the act, and I think that's part of what's sort of disturbing, is that rather than just taking the narrative and not even reading that and say, oh, it's discriminatory, it's this, it's that, rather than just thinking for yourself and critically think this out and read it, understand it, and say, well, question it, challenge it, say, well, okay, why is this discriminatory? Why is this exclude certain groups? And if somebody can tell us, 260-1870, but I hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen anything in that would be worthy for a state to lose a all-star game. And that's basically, I don't know if you call it bullying or what have you, but it's just basically a piece of legislation which the concerns on both sides are very real: access to vote, voting, but also to keep voter integrity. And what's wrong with that? And so it's just very interesting how people just seem to now are just stuck in their position, or if they have a label, they have to think of something a certain way, rather than just looking at the facts. I think a good example is the Chauvin trial right now. I'm pro law enforcement. I think that's the hardest job in the world. But as I look at those facts, it's was Chauvin was he a substantial cause in this guy's death? As far as his the way he continued to respond or continued to restrain him in that manner, 3.5 minutes after he was non-responsive. I mean, that's what he's going to have to deal with, and that's wrong. That was wrong, and to what extent it's wrong, the jury's going to decide. But just because you have a certain support a certain cause or whatever, doesn't mean you can't look at the facts in each individual case and say, well, I'm part of this cause, so I have to disregard the facts and follow the narrative, rather than just critically analyzing each situation and doing what's best. It's just sort of interesting where we are today.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And if you're not part of that narrative, then all of a sudden, you get a label. You're this, you're that. The whole cancel culture wants to say, if you believe in this, then you must be a racist. Well then, it's let's just look at the facts. It's a policeman, someone he's arresting. Whether it's a person of color, whether it's not. Let's look at the facts. Look, if this policeman is guilty, put him in jail. I mean, I don't care what color he is. Put him in jail. And if he's found not to be guilty, if that's what the jury decided, that is our system. It may have been unfair, it may be unfair to put him in jail. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not listening to the whole trial. Evidence gets put in, it gets excluded. All these different things happen in the trial. So it's just to jump to those conclusions is it's kind of a right.
Have you noticed the first four letters of the word paint is pain? P-A-I-N? Hey, it's Newell, and I don't know about you, but I don't like pain, and I don't like the pain of painting my home year after year, not to mention the cost. That's why I'm having my home coated with Rhino Shield.
Okay, we'll have about 4 minutes. You have a caller, Joey, wants to chime in on IDs.
For wood, brick, stucco, hardy board, and vinyl. So do what I did and call for a free estimate, 504-407-2222, 407-2222, or visit rhinoshieldmidsouth.com. Listen, here's the bottom line with Rhino Shield. You'll never have to paint your home or business again, guaranteed. Rhino Shield is perfect for the Gulf Coast climate, resists mold and fading, and it's more affordable than you think. So call now for your free estimate, 504-407-2222, 407-2222, or visit rhinoshieldmidsouth.com.
No boat shows? No problem. Boat Stuff has over 100 boats on order. Come in today for boat show savings on Boat Stuff's full line of coastal boats, including Avid, Blue Wave, Vexus, Sea Fox, and Regulator. Boats and Yamaha motors are coming in weekly, all with boat show savings. Make no waves about it. Get your boat and Yamaha outboard from Boat Stuff in Slidell, Harvey, Port Sulphur, and Hammond, or at boatstuff.com.
Feed your soul in St. Tammany Parish with the natural beauty of state parks featuring miles of waterways to paddle and fish and the famed Tammany Trace biking and hiking path. Savor the bounty of the bayou with the locally sourced Tammany Taste culinary scene. Visit art galleries and charming boutiques for take-home treasures. Experience Louisiana North Shore's feel-good vibes and ignite your sense of adventure. Plan your visit today at louisianatravel.com and louisiananorthshore.com.
I'm former NBA player Don Chaney. For years, I had carpal tunnel syndrome and joint pain. Then I started having heart-related symptoms like fatigue and palpitations. Turns out I had heart failure caused by hereditary transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare, life-threatening disease underdiagnosed in African Americans. If you're African American and over 50 with heart failure experiencing unresolved symptoms, talk to your doctor or visit DonKnowsHisHeart.com.
Brought to you by Pfizer. America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Nya nya nya. Ba. Ba. Babue. Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. South. Jamie. Southeast Asian Peninsula. Hey, Jamie. Yes. I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to progressive could save big. Cool. I just gotta finish my warm-ups. Foul, throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Send a ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening.
Sure.
Who's able to hear more than what's being said and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Yes, I just have one comment. I'm from a simple little parish called St. John, and every time we vote, I have to show my ID. Why shouldn't it be nationwide? Simple thing that it should be. It should be nationwide. Period.
I don't disagree with you. It's a very simple requirement to exercise that privilege that we have in the United States to freely vote in elections. And, we want to make sure that the election is fair, it's protected, and, that people that are coming from other places that want to try to commit voter fraud, if you don't have to have an ID, to get on a plane, anybody can get on a plane. We won't know who they are, where they went, or where they were going. I mean, it's craziness. You got to have an ID to go check into a hospital, go to a doctor's office. Everybody does that. So everybody should have an ID. It makes no sense to me. And the only reason I think that people wouldn't want to have a voter ID law is they want to cheat. They want to make it easier to manipulate the system. Because nobody's come up with a valid reason to satisfy me that as to why, other than to say, oh, it disenfranchises people, it's racist, it's this, it's throwing labels at it. Tell me why. Somebody please call and tell me why some group of people, whether it's some race, some whatever, it doesn't have the wherewithal to get an ID in the states, and it can all make them free. Come on in, we'll give you a ID, a voter ID. Come on in and take a picture, and here's your voter ID.
Joey, let me ask you a question. What is your opinion as to why there's such an uproar about this law?
Plain and simple. Look what happened in the last election. Anybody really think Joe Biden won that presidential election? Was any doubt about it? Absolutely. So what better way to fix it than make it a nationwide, requirement to have an ID? Can you go make a bank loan without an ID? No. Can you do anything legally without an ID? No.
Home of the Saints and LSU football, basketball, and baseball. 870 AM WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, and Odyssey Station.
I'm Stacey Lynn in Washington. In Chicago, a push to get more people vaccinated.
My folks in the Black community, in the brown community, who have been hardest hit by this plague, please get the vaccine.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot with an emotional plea as she kicked off a COVID-19 vaccine faith initiative this weekend. The program's part of a nationwide effort to get vaccines to underserved Black and Latino communities. In New Jersey, help is on the way for restaurants and bars struggling because of the pandemic. Governor Phil Murphy.
New Jersey will formally put aside $35 million in federal pandemic relief funds for our restaurants, bars, breweries, brew pubs, and wineries.
An Army officer is suing Windsor, Virginia police after a traffic stop last December.
Army Second Lieutenant Karen Nazario, still in his uniform, keeps his hands visible out the window of his new car, while two Windsor police officers, guns drawn, order him to get out.
Was he afraid if he took his hands out of view, something really bad would happen?
Yes. So unbuckled his seatbelt to do anything. Any misstep, he was afraid that they were going to kill him.
CBS's Christina Ruffini tells us in the video you see Nazario, who is black and Latino, being pepper sprayed and knocked to the ground. Outside Augusta National Golf Club, protesters speaking out against Georgia's new voting law.
That's what this law is doing. It is trying to take away from black and brown people. It's taking away from them the right that is given to them by the Constitution.
There was also a rally yesterday in Long Beach, California, in support of migrant families.
We want these children to be reunited with their families. We want these children to be taken care of, make sure they're not being abused and that they won't go missing, and no one will be held accountable for that.
Powerful storms battered parts of the South. The village of Palmetto, Louisiana was hit hard. KLFY-TV's Elise Corville describes the devastation.
A lot of these homes are destroyed. They're in pieces all over the road. Crews have been out here picking up debris, moving debris, making sure that the families that are still on this road are okay.
The storms killed at least 2 people. More than 300,000 records were hacked at the University of Colorado. Justin Adams with KCNC in Denver.
CU says 447 users were at risk. The university will provide credit and identity monitoring along with fraud consultation and identity theft restoration to those affected by the data breach.
He says they may have gotten Social Security numbers and university financial information. And nearly 40% of Marines have now declined COVID-19 vaccines. This is CBS News.
CBS News Radio is your home for breaking news. With our team of reporters around the country and the world, we give you the coverage you can trust.
On our first date, we had masks on and kept 6 feet apart. Now, we're a lot closer.
Just like Cliff and Deb, thousands of singles over 50 found their perfect match on Silver Singles last year.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles, the exclusive community for singles over 50. Sign up today and receive daily matches you won't want to miss at silversingles.com/radio. silversingles.com/radio.
Woke culture is threatening our freedoms. Now, Grant Stinchfield exposes woke's secret agenda and its hidden players. Watch Stinchfield at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on Newsmax TV as he reveals the dangers. Stinchfield gives you the cold, hard truth you need to know. Find Newsmax TV on all major cable systems or get it free on Roku, YouTube, Xumo, Pluto, and smart TVs. Download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. Woke is dangerous, so watch Stinchfield on Newsmax tonight.
WWL First News. I'm Tom Perumian on your official weather station, WWL AM, FM, and .com.
Going to be a very nice Sunday. We'll be looking at quiet conditions with highs around 80 degrees, lots of sunshine, and a little bit lower humidity, so feeling pretty comfortable out there. Tonight, pretty comfortable as well. We'll be dropping into the 50s and 60s on both sides of the lake.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone. A standoff in Metairie ends in a deputy-involved shooting. WWL TV's Paul Dudley has the latest.
The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says deputies responded to a disturbance call at an apartment complex on Park Manor Drive around 7 p.m. When they got there, the suspect was outside. He apparently went into an apartment, then came out around 9 p.m. pointing a gun at deputies. One of them fired at the suspect, and he went back inside. The JPSO crisis management team was called, and shortly after they got there, he came out and pointed the gun again. A member of the team fired back at him, and then he went back inside again. A few minutes later, law enforcement breached the door and found him inside the apartment, dead with multiple gunshot wounds. The sheriff's office says they still cannot say for sure what killed him.
Well, numerous issues will face the state legislature this coming session, including an LSU scandal-inspired piece of legislation. A bill is filed that would result in automatic termination of any post-secondary employee who fails to properly report incidents of power-based violence to the campus Title IX coordinator. New Orleans Representative Amy Freeman wrote it.
It involves looking at making sure people are trained on mandatory reporting at all levels, but also putting them in a position where if you're a mandatory reporter and you don't train, you can be terminated.
This fiscal session is set to run all the way into June. Well, now that bars can stay open longer in New Orleans, there's a new shortage that's hit the hospitality business. WWL TV's Ton Trong reports.
Sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for. Many bars push state and city leaders to extend closing time from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Mark Shetler, the general manager at Bar Tonique, says when the city of New Orleans lifted that latest COVID restriction for bars, it happened quickly. The change took place Friday, but their staffing remained the same. Sure, some of the bar's pre-pandemic workers never came back, or they're transitioning to other careers. After more than a year's worth of roller coaster regulations for bars, Shetler says business is booming, and they're scrambling to find bartenders to serve a surge of customers.
It took 4 tries, but finally LSU baseball can say they have notched a conference series win. They did it yesterday in part thanks to their defense on the road.
Fontenot lines and delivers. The 1-2. Ground ball hit towards Thompson at short. He'll toss. Arnold relay to first. In time for the twin killing.
LSU was 8-6 winners at Kentucky and have won 2 straight against the Wildcats. At 3-8 in the SEC, LSU goes for the series sweep today at noon on WWL. And the Pelicans halted a 2-game skid on Friday with a win over the 76ers. Now they'll look to put together 2 straight victories when they take on the Cavaliers in Cleveland tonight. Tip-off is set for 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Menard, WWL Sports.
Quiet weather for your Sunday. Great day to be outside. I just want to see lots of sunshine and highs comfortable around 80 degrees. Monday still looks pretty nice as well. Highs will be around 84. And then as we head into Tuesday, well, more storms blow back in. At least some could be dropping some heavy rainfall on Tuesday. Highs will still be warm, though, in around 80 degrees. Heading into Wednesday, mid-70s, but still stormy. Into Thursday, Friday, and all of really next week, looks like our highs are back in the mid-70s with a chance for showers and storms. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
And I'm Tom Perumian, WWL First News.
From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Call or text 504-260-1870 or join us anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Baseball, 12 o'clock first pitch. Blue Tigers. So if they can win, they get 4-8, and they get back to sort of get it interesting as far as they can get back to 500 in the SEC. We'll be all right. We'll talk this hour. We'll talk a little bit more about abstract and actual issues. We'll get back to the
4-8 is not back to 500.
No. We'll be in striking distance. In other words, we'll be.
I see.
No, we're yes.
Yeah.
I want to Dallas out. I know that it's a 333, 20%. But what I mean, striking distance, maybe in about 3 or 4 series, we could get close to 500 and get back.
Yeah.
You know, I love baseball. It's got amateurism still in it, a lot of it, in the sense that, you know, after the game, the players will pick up the bases, clean up, carry their own bags. You know, it's sort of refreshing. All right. We were talking. This, you know, what I want to talk a little bit about. You know, I think what we like to do is make it complex understandable. And I just wanted to tell you something that I encountered this week. And you know, more is not always better. And going from point A to point B. Well, I'll do this. I read a contract this week for a TV show, or audition for a TV show. And it was about 40 pages. And my analysis was these Los Angeles lawyers took what could be stated in 2 pages and extrapolated to 40 pages and kept repeating itself. And after reading the contract, my head was about to explode. And I was thinking, you know, you probably say
Do you think that was by?
But
do you think that was by to have somebody say, "Oh, this is 40 pages. I'm not reading this. Here, I'll just sign it." I mean, you know,
I think
it makes.
you think it's better to say something in 40 words than 10. And that's just my
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm going to talk about estate plans and a little bit that had a lady. She had one son. She had one son. And if her son went around, she had a couple of contingencies that she wanted to have a cut. And so she brought in on my desk, she brought down a 35-page trust. Now, for teaching something to her one son he went around these kids. And she said, my head is about to explode trying to understand this. I'm as confused as I was when I went in. She said that somebody recommended she get this trust. She has to get this trust. It'll be so much easier when she passes, and that's all it takes. And my only point saying, especially in state plans, war is not always that. And you can't, I told her, I said, it's much like trying to teach the West Coast offense to 8, 9-year-old football team. It may be a great offense. This is football. It may be a great offense, but if you make it so complicated for people so that they can't implement it, it's not going to be any good. Or we could take it to last year with Bo Pelini defense. You make the defense so complicated, you can't run it. You get fired.
Yeah, 40 point game, right? Yeah, and again, we have a lot of opinions about trust, right? I think what happened was, and look, this may come back around. Now we have a Democratic administration. Democrats are very good at raising taxes, and so I think what happened was because the federal estate tax exemption got to be so high. I think it's 11.4, right? So it applied to very, very few people that would have to worry about doing any type of estate planning to protect their assets from 40, 50, 60% taxation upon their death. So I think what happened with a lot of these estate planning attorneys was that they decided, you know what, now we're not estate planning for that. Let's implement these trusts, these living trusts. And people will call up and say, yeah, I've seen these ads and getting solicited to have a living trust, a revocable, meaning you can revoke it, revocable living trust, prepared for them. And my first question is always, why do you want that? Tell me what you know about it and why you need it, and tell me what you want to accomplish. And 9 times out of 10, a revocable living trust is a waste of time, money, and paper. And just like you're saying, it's so complicated. It's so much about nothing, and it doesn't serve or solve the problems that people may want to deal with by requesting the trust. Would you have any a comment about that, Doug, or you?
Well, no, and again, I think what you want to do is when you do the estate planning wills is you want to make it so that the execution of it can be done. In other words, a lot of times on paper, you're having a discussion among 2 law professors or high intellects saying, well, this is a brilliant thing. But when it comes to the implementation part, it causes more problems than it solves. Then you have to say, is this really good? And, like a lot of these living trusts we were talking about, the primary reason to do that was to avoid probate in Louisiana. And in Louisiana,
the probate is right
with the independent administrator, where basically you don't have to get court approval to do most of the liquidation activities of an estate. It makes it very manageable, makes it very efficient, and so a lot of times, and it was interesting because I asked potential clients, because what we did is we took the 30-page trust, we tore it up and did a 2.5-page will, which is very easy to implement. And I asked her, I said, well, who talked you into this and why? And they said, well, they told us I had to have this, and this was the latest, vehicle to protect myself. And that, if I go into probate, my will could be disputed. And I was like, and basically what I saw was unnecessary fear caused the sale of this product, which was overkill. And I could say probably what she spent with us was probably a 10 on getting the trust, because you had all this fear about this could happen, and if you do it right and you do it efficiently, that's unwarranted fear. And so, again, I remember when I was a young attorney, and my attorney I was working for, Dave McDaniel, he was doing a will for, I don't want to say who it is, but he may have owned a football team, and it was only 8 pages. And I said, is this all you need? He says, that's all he needs at this time. And it does the job. And so, again, more is not always better. And
I agree.
And
I think it's a shame because, listen, there's a trust code for a reason, right? And there are trusts for a reason. And there are many reasons to have a trust, but to sell somebody something they don't need so you can get 10 grand out of them, as opposed to a basic will that addresses their needs in 2 or 3 pages without having to appoint a trustee, without having to have all these restrictions and requirements, etc. It's a shame, is what it is, because a lot of lawyers are doing things that they shouldn't be doing in order to promote, themselves and their pocketbook. And for people that don't know and don't understand it, those trusts end up kind of falling by the wayside anyway, because you got to continue to place your assets in it, and it's a separate tax ID number, and it's complication for no reason, or for very few reasons. And like I said, if you've got a special needs child, if you've got a child that has an addiction problem, if you want to leave something to the next generation, an asset or something, you can place those things in a trust that, then your children can manage it, and then, the next generation can have it. You can make sure that final generation gets it. There are some reasons to do those things, but your typical family, that has a 401k and some life insurance, some assets, maybe a rent house or something. It's just not necessary.
Yeah, and there are times when a trust is advantageous. One would be if you have a child that has a spending problem.
Right. Or you have a minor child. You have a 15-year-old child, right? You want to make sure that, and the trust will terminate at a certain age, right?
Or also, if you have property, several states, you want to file for succession in different states, and put all that property in the trust. So that you can take it succession in different states. But here we use it. Let's go to break. That's
Odyssey is the best way to power your day, giving you so many ways to stay connected to all the audio that matters to you, anywhere you are. At home, kick back and listen to Odyssey on your favorite home entertainment devices like Roku and Chromecast. And you can ask Alexa or Google to play your station hands-free. Listen in your car with the Waze app, Apple CarPlay, and more to stay connected on the go. Get your favorites on AUDACY. Discover a universe of audio everywhere. Odyssey.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast. All new mysteries of terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths.
Listen free on the new Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Looking for a higher education that will accelerate your career? The University of Holy Cross's accelerated Bachelor's in Business Administration program allows you to combine your existing college credit hours and prior work experience to complete your degree in as few as 19 months without leaving your job. Take classes on our New Orleans campus or online. Completing your degree has never been more convenient or affordable. Call us today at 504-677-6570 or visit uhcno.edu/biz.
Odyssey knows that having baseball back is just better. A full season of games to look forward to? Better. And using BetQL's proven data and analytics to cash in those baseball bets more consistently? So much better. BetQL looks at every potential bet from every game to find you the most profitable opportunities. It's time to make baseball betting better. Visit BetQL.com and use promo code BETTER for 20% off. That's 20% off with promo code BETTER at BetQL.com. BetQL, an Odyssey company.
The New Orleans Saints and Pelicans offer the ultimate entertainment experience. Now you can get onto the field and into the hottest concerts in town with our newest all-inclusive premium offerings. Saints field level suites get you closer to the action than ever before. And with Pelican suite packages, you'll watch some of the NBA's brightest stars, like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. To get your tickets to the suite life and learn more, visit NewOrleansSaints.com or Pelicans.com today.
Do you have Medicare and Medicaid? You may be entitled to better benefits with People's Health, including a $300 per quarter allowance for over-the-counter health and wellness items, a $55 per month allowance for healthy foods, free transportation to medical appointments, a free gym membership, and dental, vision, and hearing coverage. If you have Medicare and Medicaid, take a look at the benefits of People's Health. Learn more at peopleshealth.com.
Take 30 seconds to save thousands. Go to lacontractor.org and take 30 seconds to make sure the person or company who wants to work on your home or business is licensed by the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. How much is 30 seconds worth to you? That's lacontractor.org.
All things legal on WWL-AM-FM.com and the Odyssey app. To connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, 504-260-1870.
Also, you can call us at Walton at 337 North Shore, 49697. I think we were talking a little bit about state plan. Just in general, more is not always better. And we always want to do things that are pragmatic as far as execution is concerned. And, when I was at school, I had a professor who used to teach us about trust. And I came out of class more confused than I went in. So I just memorized the code articles, regurgitated them out, passed the class. I was studying. And then I had a very wise attorney I worked for when I was out of school, David McDaniel. And he had said, and I asked him, I said, I took this trust class. And I don't know what the heck it is. Can you explain what it is to me? And so he just took a little container. And he said, this is a trust. And then he said, what I put inside this container is the trust assets. And then he says, the person in charge of taking these assets out of this container is the trustee, and the person who ultimately gets it is a beneficiary. And then the light went on in my head, and I'm like, yes. I said, thank you for explaining it in the Bucktown way where we can understand. And so, so that's in trust. We're talking a little bit about trust at the end. when are they when is a good time to use it? When is it not a good time to use it? And there's two types of trust. There's a trust that you'd have once you put it into place, you can't undo it, which is called an irrevocable trust. And there's a type of trust that you can undo it, and that's called a revocable trust. And there's different reasons to do it at different times, but it always comes, with a price. For example, when Tom Benson did a lot of planning, and he was putting a lot of his stock, his automobile dealerships stock into an irrevocable trust, so that when he passed, the tax burden wouldn't be so great, so that maybe the Saints would be in a position where they'd have to sell in order to pay the tax bill, much like Joe Robbie did in Miami, or Walter O'Malley, with the Los Angeles Dodgers, where when they died, the value of the team was so much that they had to sell the team to pay the taxes. But that came with a price, because his grandchildren were the beneficiaries of the trust, and when he got into it with them, he's like, I want it back, and unfortunately, the attorney said he gave it away. So there's always certain consequences when you make these type of, moves, in order to, when you make these kind of decisions. There's an upside and downside, but there's always consequences to it, which has to be sort of discussed in these contexts when you make this plan.
Yeah, and what you can do with, what I typically do when somebody comes in with minor children, you don't want, if you have even a decent size estate, you don't want to have your minor children turn 18 and all of a sudden come into a substantial chunk of money, because they don't have the wherewithal, whether it's the business sense or the maturity level or whatever the case may be, to handle that amount of money properly. And not that they will glean that later in life, because people make bad decisions with money all the time. But at the same time, what we typically do is phase out the trust. So in other words, if you have 3 kids, you put your money in trust if both parents are gone, right? So if one goes, the other handles things, just like, day-to-day normal activity. But if the other goes and they're both gone, then the money goes into a trust, and a trustee, a trusted person, then distributes that money as the children need it to maintain their lifestyle, to pay their tuition, to pay their, books and clothing and whatever they're somewhat accustomed to. But then that money stays in trust and phases out after periods of time. So whether you want to do the first half at 25 years, where somebody would need, perhaps they're buying their first home, they're out of college, they're out of professional school, or they've been working a few years, whatever the case may be, and now they're in the position where they might want to purchase their first home. This chunk of money might be a good jump start for a down payment, or depending on the value of it, maybe for the whole purchase. But you leave money in there in that trust, and then the next phase would be maybe 30 years old, where they come into the rest of it, or come into the second, third, and then at 35 they get it all. And again, depending on the size of the estate and the maturity of the children, the age of the children when you set up the trust, those types of things are very easy to do, and they can be done in a testamentary trust, which means it's placed in a will. And once the person dies, then the trust is implemented, and it goes into effect. So your money's not tied up during your lifetime or your spouse's lifetime. But if you're both gone, or if you're a single parent and have these assets and want to leave it, then you can do that, set it up to where your children will receive that money when they have the maturity level and to deal with it and make their decisions with it. You don't want it, like you said, if you've got somebody who likes to spend a lot of money and has no value or concept of the value of a dollar, then those are valid reasons to have a trust set up like that. But just to say, hey, put your money in a trust because it's the hottest thing going, it's kind of silly.
Well, there's two types of trust. There's a trust that creates a will that's created upon the death of whoever drew up the will of the decedent, or there's a trust that you create now and start putting your assets. And what we were talking about before is the type of trust that you open up now, you transfer all the assets into this trust, and then upon death, it'll automatically go to a beneficiary without filing probate. But the problem is, the practical problem is, one, inevitably, there's usually some asset that's not forgotten to be put into this trust. You end up opening probate up already. Also, to put your house in a trust, a lot of times you lose your homestead exemption. In most parishes, if you have your house in your name and then you put it in some type of trust, you probably, depending on the assessor, but most of them will take away your homestead exemption. Also, if you buy a car, you go to a car dealership and you say, I want you to put your name in the trust. Then the salesman's like, oh, I don't know what to do. They have to call the attorney. They have to go through a lot of protocols, and you may affect the ability to get financing. Maybe the finance company would go into an individual that would be in trust. So there's all kinds of complications where you're doing this to make this less complicated upon your death, but you're suffering from all the complications before you die, and it just doesn't work. And ultimately, like for example, if you open a living trust and put all your assets into this trust, and someone passes, and let's say maybe at the assisted living home that you're staying, they want to give you a rebate, and they say, well, you're not going to get a rebate unless you open up a succession, because there's nothing in there in the trust that says that any rebates from assisted living care goes into the trust. So there's just a lot of unforeseen complications that defeat the purpose of you doing this allegedly to make it less complicated. And not only is it more complicated, it's more complicated. You have to experience the complications while you're still around. So it's just again. I think, when people come to our office, we don't come, it's not an agenda here. We're not trying to sell a product. We're just saying, okay, just tell me about where you are and let me give you some ideas on how to accomplish that objective. And in the most efficient and smooth manner, in the most pragmatic manner, and we sort of build around their objectives rather than trying to make a round peg fit in a square hole and sell them this plan that may not work.
Right. Yeah, and getting back to Doug to the homestead exemption. Actually, if you set up a trust for your spouse and your direct descendants, that a testamentary trust that will pass to. Yes, that will pass to them. But if it's set up, if a trustee is some third party beneficiary or whatever, then that's the case. But if you set it up for yourself or your spouse or whatever, then you would still get the benefit of that homestead exemption. The problem is, though, there are always aspects of especially of an irrevocable trust. You're stuck with it, and so now you can't make changes. You can't do those things like Tom Benson maybe wanted to do later in his life. An irrevocable trust, one that is revocable, then you lose a lot of protections. People are like, oh, I want asset protection. Well, if you can revoke it, then the creditor can force you to revoke it to the degree of their claim. And so, it doesn't really give you that asset protection. It doesn't help you. If you place a house in a trust and someone sues you, and the only asset is in a trust, is in that trust is that house, then you're limited to the value of that house, plus whatever insurance you might have had on it, right? So it's a similar thing to an LLC. If you formed an LLC, it would be a very similar protection. It would limit your liability for that property, that one piece of real estate, up to the value of that real estate. After that, if you've not commingled your funds with your personal funds, and then they won't be able to come after you personally for any deficiency beyond the value of that piece of. And the same thing with a trust. People will do that to try to protect their liability. Say, yeah, I want to put this property in a trust, and that way if something happens and it burns down and catches 20 houses on fire and exceeds the value of our insurance, it's limited to the value of, the lot that's left. And so.
Dave Cohen here. As many people know who have gone to our website, Steph Curry, Garth Brooks, Blake Shelton, Adam Levine, Jerry Rice, John Meacham, Alicia Keys, Demi Lovato, all talking about how exciting it is that radio.com is now Odyssey. Odyssey is now the app that was the radio.com app. All of the greatest content that you've already learned to love from WWL.com and radio.com is now available on Odyssey.
Does learning a language feel like this?
No habla español?
Hablo.
It's hablo? It's hablo. Bom dia, like good day, good morning, I think.
I can say, je m'appelle David, but that's probably it.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
This year is my year to get fluent in Spanish, and Babbel is definitely going to help me do that. The app is so easy to use, and it's so practical. It helps you learn things that you will actually need.
Since my husband is from Guatemala, I'll apply what I've learned in Babbel to our real-life situations.
I've tried other language learning apps, and nothing really stuck. Babbel's been a complete game changer for me.
Hoy es miércoles y el clima está muy bueno afuera. Estoy con fome. Eu no tomé café de mañana.
Je suis des États-Unis et du viens tu.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Are you ready for the heat and the moisture this year? This is Paul LaGrange, host of the Home Improvement Show. Now's the time to get your AC checked out. But who should you call? Trust my friends at Burkhardt Air Conditioning and Heating. With 30 years in the business, they really know what they're doing, and they can work on any air conditioning system. Burkhardt gets your system running right, and they can find and fix problems before you really need that AC this year. Schedule your tune-up now with Burkhardt at acpromise.com and tell them Paul sent you.
Hey, New Orleans, we make it easy. Go to RayBrandAuto.com.
They sure do make it easy. They stand ready to serve you. This is Newell, and the Ray Brand Auto Group is always first and only choice when purchasing or maintaining a vehicle for me or my family. With 14 dealerships and 6 collision centers, they stand ready to serve you. So check them out at RayBrandAuto.com.
Go to RayBrandAuto.com.
Hey, home up. We want your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Love sports? Love culture? Well, I've got a brand new podcast called Take Line, hosted by me, Jason Concepcion, and two-time WNBA champion Renee Montgomery. From the games to the players to the issues happening both on and off the court, we'll be tackling the important political and social issues happening in sports head on. New episodes drop every Tuesday, so listen and subscribe on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Bobby Hebert from my friends at Clearwater Pools and Spas, your staycation headquarters. Let us make your backyard a great family vacation spot for the summer. They're the trusted leader in water treatment and offer the largest selection in above-ground pools, spas, and hot tubs, including hot spring spas. They're the only factory authorized and trained in pristine blue and oxygen sanitizing systems. Visit CWNOLA.com or one of our locations in Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, and Pearl, Mississippi. Clearwater Pools and Spas.
Feed your soul in St. Tammany Parish with the natural beauty of state parks featuring miles of waterways to paddle and fish and the famed Tammany Trace biking and hiking path. Savor the bounty of the bayou with the locally sourced Tammany Taste culinary scene. Visit art galleries and charming boutiques for take-home treasures. Experience Louisiana North Shore's feel-good vibes and ignite your sense of adventure. Plan your visit today at louisianatravel.com and louisiananorthshore.com.
Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast. All new mysteries of terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths.
Listen free on the new Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Now, more All Things Legal, paid for by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Or also all kinds of other 64, 9697. So we're just talking a little bit about trust and conception, misconceptions about trust, property use of it, and maybe not to say property use. One of the things I've seen in connection with Medicaid, when people who have may want to avail themselves of long-term Medicaid, for when you're over 65 and something like that. I've seen where people have some information and not others, and make decisions based on incomplete information, such as in order to be eligible for Medicaid or long-term care, you have to have less than $2,000 of accountable assets. Accountable assets is basically cash, money, IRAs, properties that are to main residence. And if it's not accountable assets, it's equity in the home, the car, maybe your personal items. And I've seen people do things like they believe that, well, in order to become Medicaid eligible, let me transfer my house into my children's name, so I have no assets. And then they say, okay, now I'm Medicaid eligible. But often those type of, I guess, unilateral actions will actually ever preclude you from being eligible for Medicaid if you're in that situation, because of the fact that what you were doing was you're taking the equity in the home, which is not accountable asset, and you donate it to your children, and then that donation is subject to a 5-year look-back period, and they take the value of that donation, and so basically that's they're going to compute that into the Medicaid eligibility tax. That's the short of it. But there's I think a lot of incomplete information is the cause of some additional complications trying to formulate the state.
Yeah. Well, there's a 5-year look back period, right? So, if it's close, right, you have a very small checking account, no real IRA or retirement account, you're living on Social Security, and you have a house. If you wanted to get that house into your children's name, you can donate it to them, but you run that risk, right? So if it's early enough in your lifetime where you donate it to them, they give you a usufruct over the house, and then if it goes beyond 5 years, the donation is passed. Same thing with any type of other asset that you might have. If you have real estate or property, you just donate it, get it out of your name. You can maybe make the income from it up to a certain point, and if you need to become Medicaid eligible at that point, then the income will pass to the children because it'll be in their names. And so there are ways to do it, but like anything else, it's a risk. Are you willing to take a gamble right now that you're going to have the capacity for the next 5 years to manage your own affairs, or that you can move in with one of the children for a year or so if it, in the latter part of the 5 years where you don't need to become Medicaid eligible, and then let that 5-year period pass, and then get you in. Look, you run the risk. I mean, if in year one, all of a sudden you're unable to take care of yourself for some reason, and you need to go into an assisted living center or some sort of nursing home, then then you're going to have to come up with cash and maybe let the kids pay for it until such time as that 5 years has run. So there are options other than just spending it all down, but again, options come with risks, and you got to see where you stand at the time. And people that usually come see us are, hey, look, mama's lost it. She doesn't know her name half the time, and we want to do X, Y, Z. And at that point, it's a little bit late.
Right. Well, and also too, when you I guess when you make these type of decisions, it's probably better to get the information first and then make the decision rather than make the decision and then trying to get the lawyer to make it work for for whatever objective you want to accomplish. And people will come in and say, well, I want the correct estate plan for me. And
right.
What I say very tongue in cheek, I said, if I knew the day you were going to leave this earth, I'd be able to do the correct plan, because some plans would be better for the short term, but if you have a long term situation, maybe it's not as advantageous, or vice versa. So what you're doing is really, it's part of like risk management. You're just trying to manage your risk, trying to manage certain objectives and considerations based on possible contingencies or try to cover as many contingencies as possible. But it's very individualized. But ultimately, we all don't know, for the most part, we're going to leave this earth. And, it's hard to prospectively do a plan to cover all contingencies. But again, there's a lot of different, factors, considerations, and also part of it's like the risk tolerance of clients. I mean, some clients want to have, they like everything managed, safe. Other clients are a little more, willing to push envelope, but
let's see what happens, kind of thing.
Be a little more aggressive about what you do. But again, it's really just about communication. I think from our perspective is, rather than saying this is what you need to do, this is best for you, I think it's best to, in the first consultations, explain the concepts, explain what are the considerations, how would the law be applied, and what are the consequences on both sides. This is the pros, this is the cons, and then giving that information to let clients make a decision to what's best, given their risk balances, their objectives, and so
sure.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't have a cookie cutter solution to each person's estate issues. It's very, very individualized, and it probably, a lot of times you sit there with a husband and wife and saying, well, what are you going to do in this situation? I never ever thought of that.
Right. Right.
So, all right, let's go to a 5 break.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's.
Looks like about 5 minutes before the end of the show.
The right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
So, you upgraded to the elevated ride of the 2021 Toyota Highlander.
New Highlander, Mr. D?
Yeah, figured it was time for something nicer, more refined.
Look at this thing. I mean, that moonroof is pretty sweet.
It's extremely stylish.
And that's not all. As you can see, it has leather seats, dual zone climate control,
and comes with all the latest tech.
And Android Auto. Check out this 12.3-inch touchscreen. Great for navigation, hands-free communication, music.
Awesome.
The Highlander also has loads of space and even a third-row seat.
Did I see 5 USB ports?
You sure did, buddy.
Perfect place for your daughter's new boyfriend.
This is so embarrassing.
Elevate every ride in the new 2021 Highlander.
Get $1,500 customer cash. Our qualified lessees can lease a new 2021 Highlander L for only $279 a month for 36 months with $29.99 due at signing. Toyota, let's go places. See packages and options at toyota.com for feature availability. Visit buyatoyota.com for details. Offers available in select states and in 5321.
If you're building a new home or buying a new home from a builder, you need to be aware of Louisiana's New Home Warranty Act. It sets forth strict deadlines to make claims against the builder for defects.
You will have somewhere in the range of 5 minutes, maybe a little more.
This is Albert Nicaud with the Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm in Metairie. Call me at 504-837-1304 as soon as you discover a defect. Better yet, call me before you sign your construction contract and let me make sure you're protected.
Everybody at Nash AC and Heating wants you to know they're still on a job keeping you and your home cool and comfortable. At Nash AC and Heating, they make sure that when they visit your home, they take every possible precaution to assure the safety of you and the technicians. Ask them about the new air purification systems that take up to 99% of the mold, dust, and viruses out of the air that you and your family breathe. Nash AC and Heating. Give them a call today. Make sure your AC system is something you just don't have to worry about. 504-835-4440.
I'm former NBA player Don Chaney. For years, I had carpal tunnel syndrome and joint pain. Then I started having heart-related symptoms like fatigue and palpitations. Turns out I had heart failure caused by hereditary transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare, life-threatening disease underdiagnosed in African Americans. If you're African American and over 50 with heart failure experiencing unresolved symptoms, talk to your doctor or visit DonKnowsHisHeart.com.
Brought to you by Pfizer. The Champions Club, the Acme Oyster House tent. All the venues you've come to love now in one ticket. The best of the Zurich Classic Pass. And all safety protocols will be followed to ensure a safe experience for everyone. The Zurich Classic, April 22nd through 25th. For more info and tickets, go to ZurichGolfClassic.com.
Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast. All new mysteries of terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths.
Listen free on the new Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
All things legal on WWL. Call or text Nico and Sunseri now, 504-260-1870. And remember, you can rewind on the Odyssey app.
First pitch is 12. Pregame at 11:30 as LSU goes for the sweep against the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky doesn't have the same tradition in baseball as it does in basketball. That's probably fair.
Oh, yeah.
But,
it's similar to its football.
Yeah, similar to well, they had the let's see, the Bluegrass Miracle was what, 18 years ago, and that was against Kentucky.
Wow.
When they had Town Morris, they dumped it, Gatorade and Devery Henderson caught a 75-yard pass at the last play. Also, this is an interesting sports trivia from Bob Langley's book, Louisiana Sports History. On April 11, 1977, Bristol Pete Mavericks wins the NBA scoring title for the 1976-77 season with an average of 31.1 points a game, and that is without a three-point line. Now, imagine what that would have been with the three-point line. It would probably have been 38, 39, 80.
Well, think about that too, because they always go back and they draw the little yellow line where the three-point line would be on the court. And people have actually gone back and digitized it, seen exactly how many points he would have scored in a particular game. But even that's not a fair analysis because if he knew all he had to do was step back 2 steps, he would have taken more threes and then than twos, and so chances are the scoring would have been even higher. So he was pretty amazing. I read his book as a kid, and he was kind of driven, as a sickness. I mean, he was so driven to be the best. Oh yeah, no, I mean he would get up in the middle of the night and go shoot baskets because there might be some kid in Indiana that is practicing more than he is, and he would draw an X on the wall in the gym when nobody else was there, and he would throw 50 behind the back passes to hit the X, and then he would switch to his left hand. I mean, just all of these things that these drills, he would do. In fact, one of them was he would ride his bike to the gym and he would dribble the basketball as he was riding his bike. And I to do that as a kid. I lived a few blocks away from St. Paul's and would dribble. Of course, he couldn't do it in New Orleans. The ball would bounce down the street because of the holes in the street. But in Covington, do that.
Well, actually when his dad used to come to the movie theater, he used to dribble the ball outside his passenger window.
Outside the car.
Yeah,
right.
So they still have the homework basketball videos.
Yes. Before, I have those. Those are great, and they're just well done, and one is passing, one is shooting, one is defense. I mean, they're different ones, different aspects of the game, and they're great. I mean, they're great drills. It's coordination drills. It's ball handling skills. It's good if you've got a kid coming up that really wants to learn the game because it's a purist. It's somebody from the past who doesn't carry the ball every time they dribble it, and just knows how to control it without having to do all that. But
definitely Magic before there was pre-Magic. Now, one of this is trivia which drives me crazy about the Jazz is when the Jazz signed Gail Goodrich in I think 1977, 1976, they had to give the Los Angeles Lakers compensation for that draft pick.
Right.
Signed free agency, they had to give require compensation to be given to the team who signed, and the compensation was number one draft pick in 1979, and that number one pick was Magic.
Right.
Right. And the other thing that they have to do is that in the ABA research of that, they had to draft like the Lakers and they passed on them.
Right.
So those were the two. They would have probably done that. They probably still be here.
The bad side of it is you've only got they tried to get these players that were big name players so they could bring the crowd. Yeah. So they did that with the Saints. They got these players that were big name players at the end of their career and signed these guys to try to get people to come fill the stands instead of trying to build.
News, talk, and sports that hit home. 870 AM WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL.